Hey there. So today I just wanted to have a little bit of a conscious flow or a stream of thought, meaning whatever is coming through is just going to be said and spoken. So, a couple of things that have been on my heart recently is conscious parenting and how immensely important that is, and how to really be someone that is caretaking for a child is not only a huge undertaking, but it is also a gift. It is also an honor. And it is very much so, from my perspective, a sacred mission and a sacred duty, should you choose to accept that in your life. And for me, having children is not a necessity for everyone. I think there are some people who definitely it's imprinted on their heart. Yes, I will have a child. Yes, I will co-create life with someone that I love. And who loves me, of course. I think that's important, having the conscious connection between two people to create life. And I don't necessarily believe that it always takes two people to have a healthy experience of raising the child, but that is one avenue that can be supportive if both partners collectively together are in support of raising the child in a really conscious way. But of course you can do it as one individual as well, because I know that is a reality, so I'm not discounting anything. I'm including everything as a beautiful pathway to deepen in the consciousness. So why I'm saying this is, as of late, I've seen so many parents who will just put up an iPad in front of the child while they are dining at a restaurant. And every time I see this, I feel this feeling of just like my heart sinks, and there's almost a feeling of frustration, and even like a tiny hint of just, this is not the right word, but almost a disgust in the lack of presence in the parent to be able to be completely present to what the child is going through. So maybe it's a behavioral challenge that is manifesting in the child, and so the parent wants to put an iPad in front of them with, TV shows or whatever to kind of calm the child down so they can focus on eating. And I get that. That's a huge challenge when, say, the parent doesn't have enough time to really invest themselves in the well-being of the child to really be expanded, and to cultivate the healthy habits within the child so that they can actually sit down, have a peaceful meal, and engage in conversation, things like that. But why I think it's so important to not numb our children by putting up an iPad or putting up some form of distraction. I mean, in essence, the iPad in the modern age has become like an emotional pacifier. It's like, here, sit down, shut up, and don't bother me so that I can have my own experience, and then you can kind of do your thing and I don't have to worry about you. And that is a very extreme way of communicating that. And I know that that's not everyone's intention. I know that they're like, I don't want to bother people because, sometimes my kid is loud or makes messes, and I think if I have my kid engaged on something, then he can just, or she can eat, and not cause a ruckus. But I think that's missing out on a huge potential to discover a gift in your child. And that gift is teaching them to enjoy food in a mindful way. Teaching them to be present with life as it is unfolding and as it is expanding, because there is, to me, something so intimate, something so beautiful, something so sacred about enjoying delicious and nourishing food together, and talking about your experience and taking that as a time to bond together as a family. And I think it's also really important to support the child in not having too much stimulation, so much so that they get accustomed to that level of stimulation, and they need that moving forward in the future to be engaged or to be entertained, So I think that, for instance, when a kid can just go outside and they can play in the dirt and they can see a leaf and be fascinated by that and see all the nuances and the intricacies of the veins in the leaf and the little shape and everything, and that's the greatest toy to them, versus having an iPad where they're staring at it. They're not getting any mental engagement. They're not actually having creative thought. They're not actually engaging on a human emotional level, and they're not discovering those essential feelings to actually support them in growing their consciousness, raising their curiosity, and engaging in human connection, and actually really, really being alive and present to the vitality of life. So I think that and in the work that I do, I actually have done family life coaching, where I lived with many different families over the course of a year while I was living in China, and I was supporting the parents to help their children have emotional wellness and emotional intelligence and cultivate healthy harmony in the relationship and the dynamic between parent and child, and to foster, healthy communication and respect, and a lack of projecting on the parent's part, and more so embracing a discovery of the child and supporting them with the tools to be able to communicate when they're sad or when they're frustrated, so they don't have to act out their parents' unconscious patterns. So it's something I'm really passionate about. I'm really passionate about child psychology, and I've grown up with parents being in clinical psychology and social work, so I've just had that kind of environment around me most of my life experience, and have explored, scientific research journals about psychology, and I've explored spiritual psychology in many different traditions all over the world, just seeing what works and what doesn't work. And the beautiful thing that I've really discovered is children have so much innate wisdom in them, and so much infinite capacity to be still. And if we can slow down enough to foster the growth of that, that's mindfulness. That's presence. That's alertness. That's awareness. That is deepening their capacity to actually enjoy life, to be enriched by life, to notice things, to pay attention, to be aware. And honestly, nowadays, that's a gift. That's a talent. And that's something that can be developed over time, because it's not something that's innately taught. We're taught achieve, go, do, act, logic, reason, things like that, which are very valid and very valuable. But I think we've shifted too much to a mental, almost worshiping like state, versus cultivating an inner state of awareness, an inner state of appreciating the beauty and the simplicity of life as it unfolds in front of us. So I think the importance of really supporting children with that helps them grow as a human being, helps them have a sense of being satisfied. So if a child has to have stimulation on a visual and mental level to engage them enough to eat in peace, that shows that their mind will always be somewhere else, and they may never actually be able to enjoy this present moment. They'll always be wanting some kind of stimulation, something more than what they have in the now. So I just want to support parents who are really wanting to be conscious and mindful, to recognize what that may be doing to their child on a subconscious level, that they're not actually able to be in the here and the now and taste their food. Taste the flavors, like having engaging conversation with your children, like, what do you taste? What do you like about this? What is delicious? Can you guess what's in there? How do you think this food was made? Where do you think it came from? 9 out of 10 children, when polled in elementary and kindergarten, will say, when asked, where does food come from, will say, a grocery store. How sad is that? That is the association. It doesn't go any deeper than that. There's no real connection to their food, to growing it, and to having it be an intimate connection. It is something that is kind of, you stick your hand behind this curtain, then you get out food, and they don't know what's going on. So I think educating our children, having conscious discussions with them about what they're eating, where it came from, do they actually want to contribute to ending the life of a cow just to have a cheeseburger, you know? So I think talking with our children and really engaging them to be curious and to care about life, because passion is not something that is just for adults. Passion is something that is innate to the human spirit. And the more we can explore that and expand that within our children, I think the more we will have young people rising to care for the planet, to care for the well-being of animals, to care for the well-being of our emotional health, of our spiritual health, to care for having connectivity being an imperative value for the future. Not, technology that is distancing us from our true nature and from connecting to the true nature of others, I don't want to see a world where, the best kind of connection you're having with someone is through a text message or through a Facebook message, that is a very one-dimensional form of connection. So I think actually engaging with your kids, and it may be challenging, it may take a lot of presence on your part, but what a beautiful task to slow down, to sink into the present moment, to get still, and to be vulnerable enough to open your heart to that of a child and to see them for who they are and the richness and the magic that is inside of them. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again, that the Latin root of the word education is educare, which actually means to bring out. It doesn't mean to put in. And in the current education system, it's all about how can I shove as much information as I possibly can down your throat and then see how well you can regurgitate it to me. And then I can give you a sticker and a stamp that says you are smart, you are good enough, you are worthy. And then I'll accept you and society will accept you. You'll make a lot of money so that you can, live in a house that is acceptable in the standards of society. And then you can work a lot just so that you can afford to live in the house, which you hardly spend any time in. Like, to me, that is not supporting a child to live a purpose-driven life where they're just accepted for who they are on an innate level. They're explored as a human being. Their consciousness is expanded and grown and stimulated with thought-provoking questions and with engagement and with the parent that is actually being vulnerable. Like, let's say a parent is feeling stressed and they're frustrated by their children's behavior because people are staring or the child's making a scene. Well, something a parent could do is say, hey, right now, the way you're acting, I'm feeling sad. Like, I don't know what to do. And I would really love your support so that we can have a happy time together. Are you willing to do that with me? So asking your children conscious questions so that they can rise to your expectation because you have a positive, compelling vision for them. And they will rise to that. People rise to expectations when that expectation is one of love. And when you have a positive vision for your children. So that's just my invitation to cultivate more mindfulness and engage with your children rather than putting an iPad in front of them and in front of the child to just focus them so that they don't cause a scene and they're not disruptive. But I think it's actually more important to support our children in having the strength to be disciplined within themselves, to be respectful in their behaviors and their interactions, to be considerate, to be patient, to be curious about enjoying the simple things of their life. So I hope you found something of value in this, and I plan to make more videos in the future just sharing these thought-provoking ideas that hopefully get you thinking and questioning and asking yourself, what's one small thing I can do today that will grow myself as a human being? And maybe that has to do with parenting. Maybe that has to do with supporting children. Maybe that has to do with doing something to help the environment, making your diet better, reading more, or growing your financial health, whatever it is. I just want to be a catalyst for the deepening of our consciousness, and by that I mean our awareness and our recognition of our ability to make a positive impact on our world, on our community, and within ourselves and the people we love, and those we are yet to love.